everyone, it's Lisa, and today we're going to start talking about the match. So this is a process I'm currently going through, so I'm going to have a few videos detailing how this year has been going, but today we're just going to generally talk about the match briefly. So what is the match? When you are in your final year of medical school, you have to apply for a residency program to train in the US, and we call that the match program. So what happens is you apply for programs in September, and then you interview throughout the fall and into the winter, and then come February, you take all of the places that you interviewed at and you rank them first choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice, so on. And then the programs rank the students they interviewed, their first choice, second choice, third choice. And then the match algorithm works to match you to a residency program where you would be best fit. So it's based on both your rank list as well as the program's rank list. That's really the basis of the match process. On the Monday of match week, you will get an email that says, yes, you matched, or no, you didn't. It doesn't tell you where, it just says yes or no. And if the answer is no, then you can go through this process called SOAPing, which is like a supplemental offer program. And so the next few days of match week, Tuesday through Thursday, you can reapply to programs that didn't fill all their spots through the match, and you could get another spot that way. So on Friday of match week, they send out the emails telling everybody where they matched, including the people who went through the supplemental offer program. So you go on the match website, there are these documents that are like 300 pages long, and they detail all of the statistics regarding the match. So there's an IMG document, and in there it breaks down who matched to which specialty, what their step scores were, how many research experiences they had, were they US IMGs, were they non-US IMGs. It's really informative, but it also can be really overwhelming. So as far as US IMGs go, the one statistic that I'm going to share with you guys is that 54% of US IMGs match to the specialty of their choice. This statistic is probably the most important out of the whole document when we're talking in general terms. If you know which specialty you want to match into, you could go and look specifically for that specialty and get a little bit of a better sense. I know obviously some specialties are more competitive. Ortho, I think, was close to a 20% match rate, whereas psychiatry was close to 70. So it definitely does vary based on the specialty, but overall the number is 54% of US IMGs matching into the specialty of their choice. So now, as far as Ireland is concerned, this was so much harder to find data on. I have spent several hours scrolling the internet, desperately trying to find some good match rate data for all of you, and they just don't report it. The only school that reported their data was RCSI, and it's in their 2021 prospectus for new students, and they said they have a 92% US match rate and a 71% match rate for Canada. Every other school, I didn't find any numbers from. None. So what they tend to do is give you a list of all of the residency programs that people have matched into in the recent past, but that doesn't really give you any indication of what the actual match rate is. UCC, I think it was, said they have a 90% first pass rate for USMLE. I mean, that doesn't really tell you anything about the match though. So unfortunately, there isn't great data out there from Ireland about their match rates. So I apologize about that. I haven't been able to find it. If you are looking to go to school in Ireland, perhaps emailing the schools, they might be willing to give you that information. But I will say it hasn't clearly been published by most of the schools. And even RCSIO is difficult to find. I had to download the prospectus and read through it, and I scrolled all of their pages and it wasn't there. I had to actually go into this other document to find it. The other thing with the match data from Ireland is, regardless of what statistic you're getting, it's also important to understand that not everybody in the class is going to be applying to North America for residency. So that means it's a much smaller number to begin with than perhaps a US school would have. So if a US says they have a 97% match rate, well, you know all 60 people in the class are going to be applying. That's their whole class they're talking about. Whereas in Ireland, it's a portion of the class that's applying to the States. So that's just another thing to keep in mind whenever you're looking at statistics, if you can find any regarding the match data. All of these numbers are from 2020, and unfortunately this year, in the wake of COVID, everything is going to be different. I myself, as a US IMG, have been struggling through the match process. Most of my friends have also been struggling through the match process. People who have great scores, who have good applications, might get 1, maybe 2 interviews. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot more soaping this year, I think overall in many specialties, but particularly with IMGs, I think it's going to be a much higher year for that. I do have some friends that are doing well, but I think overall the consensus is none of us are performing as well in the match process as we would have liked. And really, I think that comes down to COVID. I haven't told everybody which school in particular that I've been attending in Ireland, and that's because I'm still a student, so I'm going to wait to reveal that information until after I graduate and I'm all finished with the school. But I will say that I did not feel particularly supported throughout this process of applying to the States for match. And really, this process starts way earlier. It starts with your USMLE exams. You have to do rotations in the States over the summer before you apply, so that way you have letters of recommendation. The application process starts that September of your 4th year and then continues throughout the year into the spring. My fellow classmates have been saying the same thing, that unfortunately, when you're attending a school in Ireland, the likelihood is no one on staff sat the USMLE exams. No one on staff went to residency in the States. There are plenty of people who've done fellowships, but fellowship is very different from applying for residency. So I think there is a lack of understanding perhaps about the process when it comes to applying back to the States. And if they do kind of understand the process, they're still usually behind on what we're supposed to be doing and when. I would say in general, you need to have a very good understanding of the process and what needs to be done. And you need to network in the States yourself. Networking is really how I was able to get rotations over the summer in order to get my letters of recommendation. And part of that is because of COVID. Most of the official programs were shut down, but all of my friends who have gotten rotations over the summer and got letters of recommendation, it was because we had friends and we had networked. I will also say, when it comes to matching this cycle, my top choice is a program that I have been talking to since August and have been maintaining as good a relationship as I possibly can with them. And if I do match, I will put it down to the fact that I networked and that I worked really hard to form a relationship with them, more so than any of the support that the school was offering. This is my own personal experience with my school. My classmates feel very similarly. I think all of us have the same discussion that we need to take charge of our own applications, of our own process. We all need to be really familiar with what's going on, because the school isn't necessarily going to be as big a help as perhaps we thought. The other thing as a US IMG that I just thought of was that we have to be certified by ECFMG. And again, I'm terrible with acronyms, so I'm gonna put it here, what that means. And it's the certification for foreign medical graduates, basically. And we need that in order to match to the States. All of this costs money too, just keep that in the back of your mind. The match process, I think the application cost me close to $2,000. I have friends who paid close to $3,000. The ECFMG certification costs another $900. So there are a lot of expenses that come with the match process. So overall, that's the basics of the match process and what we need to think about as US IMGs. I will say that as an IMG from Ireland, it does still look a bit more favorable than as an IMG from the Caribbean. I've had multiple residents, program directors, other people that I've been interacting with say, oh yeah, well, we kind of worry about the Caribbean kids, but the Irish students tend to be pretty well prepared. So at least if you're thinking about other IMG opportunities, there is still kind of a positive outlook on being from Ireland versus from being from the Caribbean. So that's a little overview of the match process and a little bit about the statistics. I apologize that I couldn't find any better data on the Irish schools. If anybody else comes across anything, leave it in the comments below. I'm sure there's plenty of people who are interested in it. And keep a lookout for my other videos about match, which I will be uploading soon. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.